Welcome to the second episode of the weekly series. As always, my name is Hugo and I'm the CMO of the new and very exciting traveling platform, Trip.com. Today we have a very, very special episode and I'm in company of a very, very special guest. So today we're going to be talking to none other than Doug Barnard. So for those who don't know who he is, Doug is a famous YouTuber who has been making traveling videos on his channel for more than a year now. Amassing more than 275,000 subscribers and has accumulated more than 19 million views, all videos combined. So what makes Doug special is that he goes to a lot of uncommon places and that are very quote unquote unpopular. So far he's been, in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Azerbaijan, Sudan, Iraq, and Turkey. So let's welcome on the show, Mr. Doug Barnard. Doug, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Hugo. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So, before we get into the obvious topic, which is going to be traveling, I thought that we'd start real slow and real nice. So I want people as well to get a bit of context of who you are. So why don't you just tell us, your age and where you're from, where you're locating right now?
Sure. So I am Doug Barnard from the US. I grew up in Connecticut, up in the Northeast in New England. And I am 25 years old, and right now I am located in sunny Florida.
Very nice, very nice. So I wanted to start off by asking if you are the only child in your family. Do you have any siblings? What's the family background? What's the family looking like?
Yeah, I'm actually the oldest of four. So I have a younger sister and then two younger brothers. Yeah,
Jesus,
kind of big family.
I see. And did you have, the normal route? So you went to high school, college, I guess graduated. What did you study and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, pretty conventional. I went to high school in Connecticut. Then I went to college up at Cornell University in upstate New York, up in the frozen tundra, almost near Canada.
Yeah, almost.
And I studied hotel administration there, actually. So basically like hospitality business.
Okay.
So a hotel and restaurant business with a little bit of like traditional business education mixed in there. Okay. And after I graduated, I worked for about 2 years for Walmart e-commerce, actually.
Yeah.
So I worked selling pet supplies. I was a category specialist, and I was in charge of selling dog and cat flea and tick medications. Very specific.
Okay, yeah. So I had done my research before, as every great does, and yeah, I'd find out that you had a normal job before, because it's always interesting to see where you started. And I want to ask. It brings me to my next question. When did it all started for you? This love and passion for traveling that you clearly have. Was it a family thing that you guys always used to travel back then, or was it only you maybe? So could you just dig in a little bit into that?
Yeah, sure. It kind of started late-ish, I guess, for me. Like when I was younger, we would travel, a fair amount, but mainly in the US. Okay. So like down to Florida a lot, and occasionally like to the Caribbean, but never too far from home. And the first time I went to Europe was when I was a sophomore in high school, with my high school music program. That was really cool, but like, I was still young. Then I studied abroad in Seville, Spain, in Sevilla during my junior year of college. And I'd say I pretty much caught the bug then. So I kind of went all over Europe, including like all the way to Russia alone.
Oh,
that was the first time I think I traveled alone. Yeah, so that was kind of my first like real adventure.
Okay, so that's when you were like, okay, I really love traveling. Like I wish I could do this all year.
Yeah, like from that point, basically, I kind of became obsessed with the idea of like traveling for my job in some form or another. And I started, looking up all sorts of ways to make it happen, from like remote traditional jobs to like just teaching English online and traveling to like, all different things. And I basically was obsessed with this idea for the next, 2.5 years until I ended up luckily making it happen. So,
and this was in 2000,
So I studied abroad in 2017.
2017. And then I guess, and then after 2017, when you finished high school, finished college, when did you finish college, roughly?
2018.
2018, and then you had that job at Walmart. And then,
right.
So you had that job at Walmart, you were doing a normal job, and then what made you quit and decide to dedicate your entire time into this YouTube project? So did you start to post before you quit, and then you saw something brewing and you were like, okay, I think I can do this? Or was it, or you quit before and you were like, I'm going to focus 100% on this and put my energies into this?
It's the former. So I started it kind of just like on a whim. I guess I don't really remember when I like made the decision to start it, but I've been watching these kind of videos for a long time and I was like obsessed with them. Yeah. And I remember I'd been watching for a long time Saudi Arabia, because it was like, I think one of like probably the last country on earth that was fully closed to tourists. Because even like North Korea, you know, it's hard, but you could go there as a tourist. You can make it happen. But Saudi was like, absolutely not. It doesn't exist. So I was then they announced eventually that they were going to like create a tourist visa. So I was tracking it for like a year. And then they finally released the visa in like September 2019. And I was working full-time in New York, and I decided to book the trip like as soon as I could. So I went in January 2020, February, right before COVID happened, luckily. And I just decided to like start my channel there, because I figured, all right, there's not a lot of people that have been to Saudi Arabia or made videos about it. So thought maybe it would help me out to be like one of the first.
Okay. And before that, so you had quit your job, or did you still have your job? No.
So I still continued. So I went, and then COVID happened. So I was like working from home and stuff, but still working full time. Okay. And then it's funny to say, I never actually quit because I got fired.
Really?
I actually, I didn't do anything though. I actually got laid off.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah. So they like all of a sudden in August, in August 2020, my company, Walmart, the e-commerce division, just laid off like hundreds of people in like a couple days, and I was one of them. It wasn't even because of COVID, because our business was online, which was doing better than before because of COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was just restructuring of the company, and they basically cut down on a lot of the e-commerce personnel. So I was one of those, and it ended up being kind of a blessing in disguise, because it kind of gave me the kick in the butt that I needed to like go for it full time. Okay. So I took that as a sign and basically just decided to give it a shot for like a few months, 6 months, a year. I didn't really know, but I just decided to go for it and say like, all right, if I put all my effort into this, like instead of working full time, like if I work full time on this, let's see if I can make it happen. And if not, I'll go back and get a normal job.
That was probably the best decision you ever made, I would guess.
Absolutely.
And what's amazing about your case, like you said, is that you started your YouTube channel, I mean, a bit over a year ago, I would guess, right? A year, 2 year. And you've been, blowing up ever since. I saw the views just going up. And now you have 275,000 subscribers, which is not nothing, it's a lot in a year. So it's very uncommon. And it brings me to my next point. Like I said in the beginning, your videos are essentially you going to these destinations that are quote unquote unpopular. And I think that's why people, in hindsight, that's why they appreciate it so much and are curious to watch it. So what made you do these sort of trips? Was it something you always used to do before YouTube? I guess not, right? From what you explained. So
yeah, not too much, but I don't know. I just kind of got fascinated. I'm kind of like a history / like international relations politics nerd. Okay. So like for those reasons, the Middle East has always fascinated me. Okay. And I never really intended for my channel to be like focused on the Middle East. And I still hope eventually to like broaden it and go all over the world. But I kind of fell into this Middle East niche because I went to Saudi first, like I said, because I thought it was, a really unique opportunity having, them having just opened up to the world. And then COVID happened. And then fall of 2020, I wanted to go somewhere again. And Egypt was one of the only countries that was open during
So
COVID.
that's okay. Okay.
And I was like, all right, so, you know, two Arab countries, it kind of like makes sense to, you know, continue with this, you know, momentum that I had. So I went to Egypt, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. And so I went to Egypt, and I started, you know, reading blogs, and I was like, Sudan is right there. I want to go like down through the border to Sudan. I think that would be interesting and like kind of unique. And I don't know why, but
it just happened,
me, like,
right? Just circumstance, timing, I guess, everything just aligned.
And just going to these unusual places, it's just like a different kind of rush for me. Like I just
excite you?
enjoy it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I don't know. It's just, that kind of raw travel is just
no, I totally understand. I totally understand.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, more and more people, want to do this sort of traveling experience that you're doing. And so for people who, I was thinking, for people who want to, you know, do a similar adventure to yours, so what would you recommend in terms of, you know, organizing the trips? Because you always seem to have someone on site. So do you just text random people online? How do you go about it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm like notorious under planner. Like when I went to Saudi, I planned nothing the first time, and I just like met people. And you know, at some of these places like Saudi Arabia and Sudan, like there's almost no tourism infrastructure, so like you can't just go on, you know, some tour website and book like a itinerary. So it's you kind of have to be like really willing to meet people and go with the flow. And I think that's something that, like, when you travel solo, like I usually do, it's a lot easier to meet people, I think, because you're not like, you know, locked in with your travel buddy, only talking to them.
You're more open to kind of.
Yeah, exactly. So I found that to be like really helpful to me in terms of meeting people. But so it's partially I'll just go there and try to meet people and go with the flow. And if they invite me somewhere, I'm like, sure. And then it's now, as I've, like, you know, continued to grow the channel, I've been able to reach out to some people ahead of time if I know I'm going somewhere, and like, hey, I'm coming here. Or maybe sometimes people will even reach out to me and say, hey, if you ever come to, you know, XYZ, I'd love to show you around. And then cool. So I've been able to leverage that a little bit. But yeah, I even with the videos, I don't really plan too much usually, and I've been really lucky so far. A lot of kind of good stuff and funny stuff has happened. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was about to say, you know, I'm focusing on how we can bring value to people. And you know, I was gonna ask you what were the pros and what were the cons a little bit of a trip like this, so just so people can have a better idea and context of what it's like being there actually. So yeah, if you could touch on that just a little bit.
Well, the pros for me are just like, you're having a completely unique experience that's you know, in a lot of these places there's none of this like scam culture where, like, you know, every person you meet is trying to like kind of swindle you or like sell you some like tchotchke. So the upsides for me are that, like, I found people to be really genuine in a lot of these places. They're really interested in like meeting foreigners because they're not necessarily there that often. And it's just an adventure, like it's just a true adventure because you're not really following a guidebook or anything. So you're just kind of this, like, at least from a personal sense, like you're truly discovering something. So those are the pros for me. And the cons would be probably the other side of the coin, which is just like, there is no guidebook. You have to figure it out for yourself. You have to, and sometimes there's lack of infrastructure, like I said, for tourism, like, and you end up in just kind of situations that are a pain, like, you know, just can't get information, or a lot of bureaucracy or visas, or like you're stuck on some bus for 24 hours or something. So just stuff like that.
You really I totally get that, because, you know, coming from Mozambique, I get that point. A lot of stuff like that can happen. Yeah, for sure. Okay. And you know, so Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Iraq, like you said. So for someone who has never been to those countries, you know, they probably have a negative image of it because, you know, every time that they hear or see those countries is always maybe on the media, on TV, and when they talk about those countries, it's never for the good reasons. So, you know, how would you describe it to people once you're there? Is it really like they show it on the media and stuff like that, or is it really not, and it's just a normal country and it's beautiful, it has its own culture?
No, yeah, it's definitely what you just said.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's also like really diverse, like, you know, comparing like Egypt to a Sudan to Iraq to Saudi Arabia are like totally different, even though they're all like Muslim countries. Like, I mean, Saudi Arabia is like, especially in the big cities, it's just like luxury, and like, yeah, it's just it's so like sophisticated, for lack of a better word, and like it's just a complete, like the whole Gulf Arab culture is so different from like Iraq, which is, you know, different and probably more quote unquote dangerous, like, than Saudi. I mean, Saudi is such a safe country, whereas like Iraq, like we took some precautions, but I still had a great experience. But now my biggest takeaway from all of these countries has been the hospitality, and I think it's something truly baked into the religion, but also the culture there is just like the guest is so important, and the welcoming the guest, the generosity and the hospitality and the kindness are just like seriously overwhelming. Like I tell my parents these stories and it just blows their minds. Like they cannot believe the kindness that people show me. So it's incredible. Like I highly recommend everyone go visit that region.
Yeah, because what I've seen from most videos is that, you know, you always have someone or like a boy, a man or a girl who shows you around, and then, you know, it's like they really take you under their wing and they're like, let's go, I'll show you around. Here's my favorite restaurant. Here's my favorite place. Here's this beautiful town and stuff like that, right?
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, I was just in Saudi Arabia, and like I made a friend in Riyadh, the capital, and then I was heading to the south, and this person was like, oh, like my dad's like employees, uncles live down there, like let me call them. And then I go there and like they picked me up and took me on like a full tour for 3 days. Like they just cleared their schedules and took care of me. I'm just like, that just would not happen in the US. Like I think we're nice people and we're hospitable, but like that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that seems like an amazing experience, and it's really, you know, to be a local amongst locals, which is really nice. Because I think you're totally right in that aspect, that it's fascinating, and it's something that us at trip.com, we encourage people to do, you know, be a local amongst the locals. You know, because more and more people want to really, when they travel, to feel a part of the city that they're visiting. And, you know, we always recommend people to try to be more embedded in the culture and really feel the places that they visit. And I think that's exactly what you showcase on your channel. And, you know, and hence is why, you know, we offer these multi-destination trips or packages, because we want to tell people, go out, go explore the world, you know, go see new countries, go see new places, explore a beautiful earth. And I think it's something that you can relate to as well.
Definitely. And like pushing your comfort level a little bit. I'm working on convincing my dad to come with me to Egypt, which he's never been like further than Europe. And I'm pushing him because he doesn't like long plane rides, and like he's just never been to a place like that. And I'm like pushing him, and I'm like, come on, like just push a little bit outside your comfort zone, and he's gonna love it. So it's so valuable.
They've never been to a trip with you like this, right?
No.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, no, I'm sorry. My mom came with me to India, which we did right before my study abroad trip. I somehow like tacked that onto the front of my study abroad semester, and I was like convinced her to come to India with me, and that trip was like the real thing that like got me excited about travel. And she was like a total trooper coming all the way to India with me, so that was pretty far out for my mom.
Yeah, and not just a question just popped in my head. So from a content creator perspective, like how do you go about shooting your content when you're when you're traveling to these countries? So do you shoot everything by yourself, and do you edit everything by yourself? How does it work from a content creator's perspective?
Yeah, I shoot I shoot and edit everything myself. So I just use a little handheld camera. It's like It's from DJI, the company that makes all like the popular drones, and it's just
Okay.
like a little thing on a gimbal. It's called DJI Pocket, and it's so small. Like I see a lot of YouTubers using big DSLR cameras, but for me, it's perfect. And especially like some of the places I go, where like they might be kind of like the police are like iffy about
Yeah,
cameras or
yeah,
something. It's kind of stealthy, and it's
yeah.
worked out for me. And then I just usually edit myself and yeah.
Yeah, because I saw that right now you're still posting. I think you posted yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, a video when you were in Saudi Arabia. So you have a lot of content still, to post and that you did when you were there.
Yeah, and that's something I've kind of learned over the past year of traveling full time is like I'll often go to a place like Iraq or Saudi and just like film for like 2 or 3 weeks straight and not edit because I'm just like really busy and going.
Mhm.
And then I like will go somewhere else, like in this case, the US, but sometimes it's been like Istanbul or somewhere, and just like sit there and edit for a month and I'll release them after. But that
Okay.
is something I think eventually I'd like to find someone who could help me out with the editing so that
Yeah.
I could be filming
Speed
more
it up.
constantly instead of like on off on off. Yeah.
Yeah, I get
But
it. Yeah.
but for now it works.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. So you shoot, yeah, it makes sense because you shoot everything, and then I noticed that you do a narrative on top of your videos as well. So you pick the okay, that day you went there, and then you're gonna sort of do a narrative around it, or do you just simply you have no narrative and you just film and then you edit it later?
um it's a little bit of both. I think it depends. Sometimes I'll set out like with a goal in mind, like if I'm trying to film something specific, but a lot of times, and I think that my favorite videos that I've made are just the ones where I like hit the streets with no plan and I'm like, let's go see what happens and just
Yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
meet some people and like find some food to eat and just kind of, because I think a lot, especially for the kind of unusual places that I've traveled to, a lot of times in my opinion what people want to see is just like, what is it like there, not like some scripted thing, but just like, what do the streets look like, how do the people interact with you, like what is it like to be there? So that's something I want to focus more on this year, is like giving that kind of raw,
Mm.
like experiential footage. So I'm hoping to do that more.
Yeah, and it is totally what you're doing. We can tell that you're just having a good time there, and you basically just document it practically, basically. So yeah, your content is great. So
Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted you to share what you can share with us. So what is next on your YouTube channel, and are you going to keep doing these sort of go to these sort of destinations, or were you planning on going maybe to Europe? So yeah, just in general, what's next on your YouTube channel? Are you going to continue these vlogs, or?
Yeah. So what's immediately up next is in about a week, I am flying to Bangladesh. So
Really?
it's going to be crazy adventure. I'm very excited. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Um, so I'll be there for 3 weeks, and then um, more broadly, my plan right now is to keep doing it, and there's just so many places to visit, but I'd love to expand beyond the region I've been focusing on and do more of Europe. I really am super interested in Eastern Europe, where I've spent a little bit of
Okay.
time, but I'd love to explore it more. And Asia, they're kind of locked down still right now with COVID, I think, but as they open up, I would love to see more of Asia and Africa as well. So yeah,
Nice, nice.
long
And
to-do list.
guys, there you have
Awesome.
it. So thank you for listening or watching this little interview. Also, don't forget to go check out Doug's YouTube channel, subscribe, and turn the bell on so you can get
There we
notified
go.
each time he publishes a video. So Doug, thank you so much for doing this, man.
Thank you, Hugo. It was a pleasure. I appreciate the invitation. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alrighty.